Hi there, Engineering 1210, Andy here. I'm going to run you through some exercises that are relevant to the tutorials that you're being asked to complete by your instructor. So let's get started. First of all, as I said in one of the previous videos, that we don't always just jump right into CAD. When you're doing design, you want to step back and think about the problem that you're being asked to solve first before you get yourself into all the overhead and challenge and difficulty of using a tool that you especially are not quite familiar with. So let's start with sketching out some ideas. So you're being asked to do an extrusion, and I want to think of this like basically a keychain. So how big or what's the keychain that I want to make going to look like? Well, I could make something, let's say it's going to be sort of rectangular, and it's going to be made out of a block of something, so it maybe will look a bit like this. It's going to have a hole in it, certainly to put the key ring through, and maybe I want to put my initials on it. My initials luckily can be cut into things quite easily. And so am I going to cut them into the keychain, or am I going to extrude them from? So I could sketch on this surface here, and I could cut through, or I could sketch on this surface here and I could extrude above. Am I going to cut all the way through, or am I going to just go part way? Well, let me think. If I go part way, then it will collect dirt and grit and grime and whatever. But if I go part way, things like this little island in the middle of the A will still be there. If I'm going to cut that all the way through, then that piece is going to drop out. So I can think now about how I want it to look. I think maybe what I'd like to do is only take the letters part way through, and then I can do something different on the other side. So if I want to consider the bottom side of my keychain, then the hole that I'd shown there is still going to be here, and it will go all the way through. And maybe I want to put, I don't know, UPEI. Something like that on the bottom. That might be fine. So that gives me some ideas about what I'm going to be making. I wonder how big should this hole be? Well, if I look at a key ring, it's a couple millimeters in diameter, and it's maybe 20 millimeters in larger diameter as a ring going through there. So I think if I make this a 4mm hole, I should be good. How thick do I want it? I'm thinking I might 3D print this. I might laser cut this from something like acrylic, or maybe I'll water jet cut this from aluminum or something. Whichever of those materials I choose to make it from. Thickness, if it's going to be a keychain, it's going to fit in my pocket. Oh, I'm going to say let's make that 5 millimeters. And then typically what I'll do is maybe consider how this is going to be sized compared to other things that I have around. In terms of the overall dimensions, typically we don't dimension simple conceptual sketches like that. We would look at maybe an orthogonal view, And I'm sure that if you took a drafting course in high school, you're familiar with this. And what dimensions do I want this to be? Well, if I made it about this long, let's say maybe 50 millimeters. And how about if I made in this dimension 25 millimeters? That's a good start. So now I've got those dimensions there. Not sure how that's going to play out. So I will look around my desk here, and I happen to have a set of calipers. So if I turn these on, you probably don't have a set of calipers. You probably have a ruler or something. But I'm just going to look at this and I'm going to say, okay, 5 millimeters, that's about 5 millimeters thick. So it's sort of like, that thick. By comparison, I look around my desk and I've got a simple USB stick. And, this type of USB stick, that's thicker than 5 millimeters. And I think that if I was carrying this around in my pocket, that might be too big and lumpy. But in terms of that size, that's probably reasonable. And so this is 60 millimeters in length, like so. Hard to find the camera. 60 millimeters, I can see it. And that's 20 millimeters on that dimension. So I'm looking at 25 by 50. It's going to be a little shorter than this is and a little fatter. That might be nice. Okay, I can go with that. And 5 millimeters thick, a little thinner than that thing. So I usually look around my desk for something that's comparable in size, just to get a feel for it, unless I've seen some other similar devices that I could use as something to use as a reference or a guideline. But designing things, it really comes down to the physicality of it and how it fits your use intended. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a good starting point for what I'd like to design. So now at this point, I have a plan. It's very rough, but there it is. And so with that plan, now I can move forward and think, okay, let's turn this into an actual CAD model that we can work with. Similar to one of the earlier videos when I showed you the design process in a very simplistic way, how you start out coming up with your idea and your plan, and then you move on. Eventually, the last step is to draw it in CAD. So let's move on to drawing it in CAD. So here I have SolidWorks open, and I'm going to create, whoops, I don't want to open a part. I'm going to create a new part. And you can go from the File menu, you can go here, which is New Part. And here we are in this familiar looking window. I'm going to start off, because I've already got a sketch in mind, I'm going to start off and create a sketch. And I'll do it on the top plane. So here we are looking down from above at the sketch. This is all very familiar with you if you've gone through the initial video. I've got a rectangle, I've got a circle there for the hole, and then I can maybe add some dimensions. Dimension this, and I said that would be 25. And I said this would be 50. I think, how does that look? Looks kind of short. Maybe I'll make it, because the USB stick that I held was 60. Maybe I'll make it 55. A little bit longer. And this hole that I'm going to put in there, I said that would be 4 millimeters. Look at that, it's almost close to 4. And then I'd like it to be far enough away from these sides that this is reasonably strong, whatever it's made from. And so I'll put a dimension here, but I don't exactly know where it is to the center, I can do another slight little trick. If I hold the Shift key down and I pick a circle, it dimensions it to the edge of the circle, which is kind of useful sometimes, especially here where it's that thickness of material I care about. I'd like that to be 3 millimeters. And then I'll do that again. I want to dimension from here, and I'll hold the Shift key down and I'll make that 3 millimeters. There we go. I probably don't want these sharp edges in my pocket, so I'm going to put some fillets on them, some radii, maybe 3, try 3. That looks pretty good. Like that. Like that, and like that. There. Now, I'm not sure about how I'm going to do the lettering yet. So I'm just going to leave this sketch as it is sufficiently, and we'll go from there. Save that sketch. So there we go. Now it's a sketch. And I think maybe I'll do another sketch. This time I'll do the lettering I might put on one side. Let's see, the lettering. I'll do a new sketch. Now remember, it's looking for me to select a plane, and I showed in one of the previous videos, if you can't see a plane, then you can pick one from just pressing the black arrow on this. And I'm going to pick the top plane, and I think I'm going to, on this sketch some text. I'm going to put in the text A-T. I could pick different fonts. I could make it bold. I think I want to make the font bigger. I don't want to use the document font. I think I'll increase the spacing. That's that. I'll increase the size of my font in the vertical. Yeah, I don't really like how that looks. Check that. Now, this isn't very big. Whoops. So I think I'd like to edit this font. Should be able to edit this font. Fonts are kind of annoying to deal with in SolidWorks, I got to admit. Because I can scale them, but we'll leave it at that for the moment. One other thing, notice that in the previous video I showed about whether or not the parts were fully defined, and notice with these sketches, after the sketch there's a little negative sign in brackets. In addition to showing you that the sketch elements are in blue, that also indicates that the whole sketch itself is underdefined. So I can edit that sketch, and I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to fix that point. Bam. So I just fixed the center of that. And then this sketch as well is now showing underdefined as well. So I can fix this, this sketch. Still want to edit that. Still want to edit that that text. Well, we'll stop there because now the video is getting to be 15 minutes long, and that's too long. So we'll stop there and we'll proceed from here with the next one.